I think I think we are live. Let me try this.
Dungeon Doom Hands, Let's
Dungeon
Talk
Doomhand,
Lore,
Let's
a
Talk Lore,
podcast.
montage. Welcome back to Let's Talk Lore. I'm Spencer, and this
I'm
is
Chris.
Chris. Tonight we're going to talk about Chris. What are we talking about?
Combat. Talking
Combat
about combat.
and how to make it more engaging. Well, just I guess like more engaging, fun, active,
Well,
user
just
friendly.
different thoughts to bring into combat as you DM, as you play.
Issues. I have issues.
And how to make
Okay.
it.
I have issues.
What?
Let me start. One of the first
Yes.
issues that I have with combat is that sometimes in my mind when I'm DMing, it sounds really cool and it's going to be awesome, and then 5 minutes later, it's really, really boring. And people don't. I guess there's a whole slew of topics for combat, but it's like, I know what I'm going to try to do, and then your character does something, and then it changes what I'm going to do. But
Yeah.
the rolls take a while, if simple math games. So one thing that I like about being the DM is that sometimes you can fudge the numbers, make the combat a little bit quicker. I notice that my bad guys when we play go really quickly sometimes, like really quickly, and then other times, you got players that like to think out loud and figure out what's going on, so it sort of dulls the combat and the fight
Yeah.
stops.
Well, yeah. So, some of that, like the one topic that I wanted to talk about was the flow of combat. How you like to enhance or encourage the flow of combat to speed up or slow down, or find the moments that you want. I know the challenge with combats is it does feel like that slog. It's like you get into it and everything just slows way down.
Right.
And some of that is just familiarity with
Some of that is just
playing
familiarity
going through that stuff.
with. Some of that is just
Through
familiarity
combats
going through that stuff.
with.
Some of that
Our
is just
group
combats,
RP a
going
whole
through that
lot
stuff. Some of that
compared to fighting. So like Aranis's fight, he's learning a whole new character there, so it's going to slow things down a little bit. But one way I always love to try and keep everyone engaged during moments like that is throw RP elements, roleplay elements into it as much as I can. So I always, anytime I have an NPC, I always try and say something with them to set the mood, set the tone, to give the players a sense of there's something other than just things in front of them to go kill.
Right. And so let's talk about like things that could use to that you could use players and DMs to sort of
Right.
make it a little quicker. Now, I'm so into the DM mind of things that I feel like some advice I can give with this, just based on our game that we play every other Monday, Agath Doomhand, is that, and one mistake I make as a DM is that I try to have the battle finish with one side dead. Like not every time is, very rarely I would say, are you going to, let's scratch that. The bad guys don't need to always die. They will run away. It's like, and if you read in the Dungeon Master's book, it shows you sort of how to play, get in the mindset of the bad guy. Elder Brains, and this is the first time that I did that. When you guys were fighting the Elder Brain, and you guys were actually doing a pretty good job, I just had bad rolls, and the Elder Brain, which was a big crucial portion of the story at that part, I didn't want him to necessarily die, but it also said in the book, once he gets attacked and once he gets hurt, to a certain extent, he's going to run away. Same thing with the Kraken. Yeah. Like, you'd think that these things would be able to kill them, but based on their strength, and also like who they are. Like a Kraken is sort of in the way back of the way that I played the Kraken. He's the closest he
Hmm.
is to God. He wants to strive to get to the God level, but he's also afraid that he's not. So
Right.
if you get him past his middle area or a little bit lower, he's going to start
Mm.
to he's going to feel scared and want to run away. So you
Yeah.
don't always have to, if the battle continues to go on, people can start running away.
Absolutely.
Um,
Well,
opportunity attacks and, you know.
look at the fight with Aranis. Half the you have what, 6 deserters now, people running away, and that was just people fleeing to get away from the mayhem.
Oh yeah. um, but what else? What do you think about something the players can do to sort of advance the or make it more engaging for everyone?
The one thing I always love to do when I'm playing is um, everyone during D&D 5e, you have your action, bonus action, your movement, and I always everyone says you have 6 words of combat for your turn. So I always try and say something while I'm taking my turn of trying to relay information, trying to uh, pass on an idea, a strategy, a plan. A hey, come over here, I want to help you, or I'm coming to you, stay put, or engaging with people whose turn it's not to try and keep them active in the scene, the moment that's happening
So like as a player
as a player.
to the
Yeah.
group,
And
what would you say? Like
so
give me an
if,
example of that.
say, an example of when we were assaulting the Temple of Baal, or the zombie horde in front of the Temple of Baal, were coming in as like, hey, Ignis, I'm gonna fly us closer. Um, be ready to fire. Be ready to take them out. Just like that interaction with someone else whose turn. So when they come to their turn, it will be like, yes, we already planned this. It's already happening. Let's do that.
So maybe like allowing a little bit of metagaming. But the problem with metagaming is it's
Well,
a two-way street
it,
because, I'm going to go do this, but like you have six if it's your turn in fight, you're going to say, "Hey, if you and I, Chris, were fighting a
right.
dragon, right? Or like let's just say
Hmm.
a bear.
Right.
I'm going to say, "Okay, I'm going to run and yell at it and I need you to figure like to take its leg out." And
Yeah.
you say that stuff to each other.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not like and the DM can roll to see if the bad guys understand it or whatever, but I would probably as a DM just let it go, let it slide, let the players be
Yeah.
creative. That's pretty
But
you know
yeah, that's one other thing. Is the players are creative. So one thing I love to do in a combat to help it be more engaging, to let the players think outside the box, because it doesn't just have to be a one side against one side and they hit each other with swords until one side goes down. Is I love to try and bring the environment or stuff that's in the room into play. Like you have some tables and chairs, you have a half wall, you have some windows, you have a plant over there. People are creative. Someone's going to turn into a potted plant and throw it at someone else, or someone's going to disguise itself as a chair, or someone's going to take a grandfather clock and start riding in it.
yeah, you did that. Yeah, well, like so my when we fought when we were in the desert and like there was that army of orcs and army of undead, you didn't really know who it was. I had this whole thing planned out where you guys were going to go in the temple and you guys were going to attack the Avatar of Shar, and the war outside was going to affect you guys inside, and things were going to fall, and the Avatar can't move out of the way, so that was going to help you.
Right.
But you guys decided to stay outside, and only one person went in. So I was like, oh my god. So Matt, no, Mike is going to get absolutely destroyed.
Destroyed.
How do you do this? So at that point, you sort of have to just let it go, figure it out. You guys decided to fight the army, and Mike eventually ran out. The Avatar's slow. But
Yeah.
fight the army. And I had just posted something on Instagram where we are creating our campaign, and it just so happened that in this section, and it was a good topic tonight, we had fought zombies, like a zombie apocalypse in the Artemisian forest. And like, how do you previously, I don't think I did that exactly correct, but one of the DMs, Craig, of Inspiration on Instagram, look him up.
Mhm.
He's pretty good. He actually suggested to me that you lower the hit points of some of the bad guys, especially in large hordes, and it allows like the players to feel like they're really slashing through. So you
Just
have
like
100
yeah.
zombies, you rolled a 20. Maybe you describe your character slashing these things down. You know, and
Describe how you wipe out 10 zombies
yeah,
in
like
your attacks.
because you got to think about it. Like, I mean, maybe it's so cool, and as a DM, maybe it's so cool, and like, get in the mind of the players, like their adrenaline, like they're gonna
Mhm.
maybe give them even an extra. I don't know, maybe give them an extra action, or give them advantage on stuff. It doesn't always have to be okay. Now my turn. Okay, now my turn.
Yeah.
And what do you think about initiative in these fights? Because sometimes there's so many bad. Sometimes there are four bad guys, and
Well, for the something that friends have used when you have a lot of minions is groups. So you don't just have every single character, every single item. It's like what you do with Aranis and the Horn of Valhalla with all of the berserkers. It's they all go once, or like what you did with the uh, with the old lady that um, Buderbot and Ignis killed, the assassins. It's
yeah,
like you had groups of them. That's a nice easy way to make larger uh, enemy count encounters move a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker. But yeah, all five of these types of people are going to do pretty much the same thing. So
right.
it's quickly move them all around. They all make their one attack and just push them all
Yeah,
through.
average out attacks. Now, I wouldn't
Yep.
say that. I mean, you can also discuss it with your DM. Okay, maybe these two characters are going to sort of protect the group. Oh yeah, and so there's a mission. So maybe two characters are fighting, and the other,
Hmm.
like we're gonna in the next section here, we're gonna do our examples on
Right.
Tabletop Simulator using Hero Forge models. It's gonna be awesome.
Hmm.
And maybe like. Maybe just remember, you don't have to kill everyone. There is an
Right.
objective. What is your goal? So, like,
Yeah.
okay, in a zombie apocalypse in Artemisian Forest, you were trying to save Gabriella and get to
Hmm.
her, and then ultimately convince her to kill herself, which was hilarious. But she didn't know that at the time, and so your goal
Right.
was to get there. Do you just plow through? Are you guys looking for bounty? That the city is being attacked? Like, what do you what is it that you do? Um, and what's the goal? So you don't have to get bogged down again in the fighting. Focus on the goal. If you're having trouble sometimes trying to figure out what your character's doing, you can also pass. You don't have
Hmm.
to affect the group by saying, I don't really know. Matt, when he plays his ranger, sometimes he says, you know what, I'm going to sit back and I'm gonna move over here, and I'm going to very very quietly do a dex stealth check, and I'm going to chill and ready my aim. So maybe the next time he fights, and he passes his stealth and he quiets down. Maybe he gets an advantage on that attack. So
Hmm.
you can always, as a player, you can pass the buck too. And also as a DM, not everyone has to go. So
Yeah.
you know, um,
Well, people can be shocked in the midst of battle, or like something you said. There can be another goal. Combat can pop up when something else is happening, and it's just like we don't really care about these people. We just have to like defend ourselves a little and then get the hell out of here.
yeah, I love the environment thing that you brought up.
Yeah.
That's my like one of my all-time favorite is because the environment is so engaging. It affects everyone on the board. How
Hmm.
the wind starts to blow heavily, or
Right.
you have the wand of wonder, and all of a sudden 1,000, an infinite number of butterflies shoots out,
Yeah.
and now everyone
But
has just deal with
it
that.
it it changes it from just like a blank page with some tokens on it to a living, breathing thing that
Right.
you can affect and move and destroy and hide behind.
Right. Yeah, and it's like in again, to go back to that zombie apocalypse, and we're going to do a little bit of that after this. The city was burning. I should have, as a DM, looking back on this, and maybe after watching this, if I had seen it before, I could have said, you know what, the smoke from the burning is gonna start to get into everyone's eyes and cloud everyone's vision, including the zombies. They're gonna start eating themselves. Opening up an area for you to escape, or there are more and more, and they keep coming, and they're immune to the smoke. What do you do? All that type of stuff is interesting, neat, and it keeps the players engaged. So don't get bogged down in combat. If it's slow because you're learning the game, that's one thing. But if it's slow because you don't know your character, or there's a lot going on, that's okay. But also know that other players are getting sort of bogged down when you're keep the momentum. It's like a hot potato. Pass it.
Another trick that I've heard and other DMs have used while I've played is if you have a lot of random NPCs or other characters, give some of those responsibilities of that character in combat to another player. So say you say we're fighting with some guards. All right, Spencer, when the guards come up, you're going to roll for the guards and tell me what they're doing. It's like what we do with people who aren't there, with our PCs who aren't there. Like, we take over the role and their play, but DMs can also pass off some of those tasks,
right?
Of the NPCs to the players as well.
Right. So maybe your character, for his short moment, is giving a speech to the NPCs, and now he has control over their actions. Let them do what they will, body shields, and all that.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing topic. We just offer solutions here that hopefully will increase engagement and gameplay. I think we should move on and do an example. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm excited for it.
Roll high and subscribe. And then if you're on our Instagram, follow. Roll high and follow. Doesn't have the same bell, but all right, we're going to take a second here. I'm going to click on our intro.
Dungeon Doomhands, Let's Talk Lore, a podcast.
We'll go right into
Dungeon Doomhands,
Tabletop Simulator, and I've set this thing up.
Alrighty.
There we go. Hey,
okay.
So let's do some examples here. Let's pretend like the dragon isn't quite there. Chris, what did you have in mind? I wanted to try to do an example of the engagement factor between fighting, a bunch of zombie hordes and then maybe a larger beast. Right. So what we're using here, if you are tuning in just right now, is Tabletop Simulator, and I gotta fix my thing here because it looks droopy. We're using Tabletop Simulator and some Hero Forge models, and also these are not stolen. Whoever keeps telling me on Instagram that my stuff is stolen, you're a troll, and I appreciate you for the interaction, but these are mods that anyone can use on Tabletop Simulator. So let's just say there are about 20 or so.
Yeah.
All right, we're in the desert. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Oh, so apparently I am playing a fallen hero, Lone Star, the avatar of Talos, who during his time as a living being, all of his followers were murdered in the story, and so he lost his godhood. Theoretically, I may have played him and tried to gain his following back. We don't know what happened in the town of whatever's Uprock.
Yeah, the town of Bruck. He took the king, and long story short, the king has decided to. He got manipulated and try to spread the word of Talos, and he went on a crusade. Chris didn't know he was going to start a crusade, but he did. And
I was hoping for that. That was my goal.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Right.
And Drake is your typical barbarian. He's a real badass. He's been getting stronger and stronger with age and experience, and that's where we are with that. And the two of them have met before on another adventure. So let's just say they're in the desert. They come up to they come up upon they travel through there's a big storm, and the storm dies, and all of a sudden they see a little movement, and roll initiative. The zombies come up. Now instead of and they see you see 20 piles of dust to start to of sand start moving, and all of a sudden there's an arm that pops out, and it turns out that zombies are coming out of the ground. Both these characters, I'm assuming, are going to want to sort of defend their turf and fight. So how do you do it? Now you could roll one dice after another, which I think, as I said before in the previous session, that it's sort of
you could do you see 30 zombies in front of you, roll initiative. All right. Drake, you're up. What are you doing? All right. Zombie 3, you're up. It moves 10 feet. It attacks you.
Right.
You could go through it very monotonous and boring, and it's gonna be a slog.
And sometimes, it's maybe. I mean, listen. Maybe you want to do that for some reason to slow the game down. Maybe you're going too fast.
Or you have a bunch of people who are new to their characters, and they just need to be in a space where they can throw a bunch of attacks out and try a bunch of different things, see what works, see how it flows together, and not worry about dying or trying to do something epic or crazy.
Right.
But something else that you can do, and that we've done before, is not every fight needs to be a fight. A fight can be an encounter. So it's not necessarily just us fighting an initiative trying to knock these people out. It's like what you said, there's a goal.
Right.
Transitioning this from just an initiative tracker counting down to there's something bigger happening.
So let's do this. So our goal is to get into the temple. We see the temple. There's a dust storm, or a sandstorm rather, and all of a sudden the ground starts to shake, and all these zombies start popping out. And there's about 20 of them at first. In the background, with a perception check of a 12, you see other mounds and sand sort of falling to the side, but it's a little bit different than the other zombies, and they come rushing towards you. Now I'd roll initiative. Mine's a 3.
You're going to be a lot higher than I am.
Mine's actually a 3.
Oh, well, I don't have my dice with me.
Yeah, I got a plus.
Some odd reason.
I will. That's okay.
No, well, Lone Star has a -1 dexterity, -1 initiative.
So he's a 12.
So he'll go behind you.
Okay, and then the zombies will go.
Last.
The zombie goes last. Okay, so the way I would do this, and the way I would run this as a DM, is Drake is obviously going to rage, and he's going to get 2 attacks. Now I'm going to have it, and I'm going to tell the group, Chris, and tell myself, this is going to be a horde, and the way it's going to happen is there's a lot of them. They're going to have one turn. And they're going to have they're going to be able to attack you depending on what you're doing, with advantage or disadvantage, and your hit points are going to or you don't even have to tell them, but we're going to use the hit points to kill multiple of them. So I would say maybe a
swarm.
Right, maybe so 2 or 3 hit points each, and that would be the death of them. And if you want to make it more epic, it could be 1. So I'm going to take my my axe out, and I'm going to attack them, and I got a 19, and that's 32. 32 to hit. And obviously that hits the swarm. And how much damage are we doing? We're going to do 12 damage. So this guy, he takes his battle axe and he smashes, and then you say, Drake, describe killing 4 of these. He charges up front and he stands in front of Lone Star and he kills 1, 2, 3, 4, smashing their heads into their bodies like that game in the circus that you go to, the whack-a-mole.
The whack-a-mole.
And then Lone Star is going to.
Lone Star is going to see Drake's. Well, and this is how I like to play. I'll always describe what I'm doing before just saying I'm going to rage, I'm going to go swing. I'm going to describe how my character is in the moment. So I would often say, I see Drake flying through there, knocking out a bunch of zombies, and I know I want to get over towards that path. So I'm going to yell to Drake, I'll clear the way, you follow me through, and then I'll take my wand out or my wrench out, and I'll cast a shatter spell right here. Oh, where's my thing?
That's Drake
right
saying,
here.
Yes.
And it'll knock out all of these people or it'll hit it'll hit that cluster of zombies, and I'll do however much damage that is, and I'll do 12 thunder damage and throw all of them 10 feet away from that spot.
So we'll say that 4 of them sort of just how do they fall apart. Their bodies just fall apart, explode.
Well, everything from here just sort of poofs out to the side, left or right, creates a little hole.
The damage you dealt pushes them backwards, and they are prone into the ground. It's Zombie's turn.
I'll rush forward and yell back to Drake. I cleared the way. Follow me. I got this.
Drake is going to still be raged and looking, but it's a zombie's turn. And as you run, now here's the thing: we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These zombies are just their turn as a DM to make this fast. These guys are going to be knocked down, and they're going to roll, and they do pass. I just did a simple 20 roll, and I got a 10. They're going to stand up, but they're still going to be sort of knocked out, so they're not going to attack. These guys are going to attack, and on a roll, let's just say it's 16 plus whatever. I'm assuming that'll hit both of us. Yeah. So 16. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 times, and now that's so much. But I would just say,
that this brings up a great point of difficulty for an encounter.
Right.
You talk about not everything has to be strictly by the books. Like, not all 11 zombies have to make an attack on us. So It could be that at any point in the swarm of the horde, each player could only be attacked
strictly by the books.
A couple attacks, so 3 attacks or something. That goes into the planning of the encounter and setting the difficulty of, like, what is a reasonable amount of damage for one character to take? How hard do you want this encounter to be?
Right.
And that can dictate how much of a slog it is or how fast it goes. And that you can play with all the numbers there, like making the minions a lot less, or making your beefy guys so that it takes them a couple rounds to get through them.
Right. So what's happening here? You running forward, I'm standing there.
Yeah.
They're going to have, I would just say on average, you're going to have 12 of them, and half of them are going to hit, right? So you're going to take, 15 slashing damage divided between the two of you. So let's just say 8 slashing damage each. And the type of damage is funny because, you're running, you're moving, and you're getting ready to move, and you're whipping. These zombies aren't going to be, they might bite you, but most likely they're going to be slashing. Yeah. So you take some slashing damage. Ow. Zombie's turn. Now it's the end of the round. Now that was a pretty quick round. To make things more intense, that group that you had seen, the the desert mounds turns out to be more zombies. And now there's twice as many zombies. What is it that you do? It's Drake's turn. Drake's in raging form. He just said he was going to follow Lone Star. He runs up and he does another thing. And let's just say, you roll it out, and he attacks, and he does the same amount of damage, and he does five damage. At which point, now we're experienced and we're just sort of going quick because we want to make our point here. It's Lone Star's. Now he was saying, follow me. Your goal, what's the goal? Our goal was to get to the temple. And you look around, where's the temple, Chris? DM. Now as a DM, you know that like I'm just going to start putting more and more zombies. So where's the temple?
The temple's over beyond the other side of the zombies over there.
Okay.
So I'll see that, or what's Drake doing? Kill some zombies. Oh shit. Sorry. We gotta go the other way, and I'll run over this way and cast a thunder wave trying to clear space.
All right.
It's turned it from, it's not just a slog of beat all these people up. It's we have a goal. I don't care about these zombies. They're gonna keep coming.
Right.
But we have to get out of there.
And then,
and I love the layer action, or the change of the scene every round.
Yes.
It almost forces the players to stay engaged of what's happening in the moment.
And I think to go on to your point, I think not every turn, but every 2 turns, there should be a little something. Environment, the town's burning, the smoke thing we talked about earlier, or an NPC comes running out of a building, or
a spell goes stray and blows up something,
or maybe the big bad comes.
Yep.
And so you run, and you say, "Oh God, let's get out of here, and let's just turn the group around, and let's just say,
I'm back."
You see the temple, and you run this way, and the zombies, as you run, the zombies sort of follow you, and stop. Why are they stopped? You turn around as you're walking, or maybe you outrun the zombies, and they're zombie and mindless, and they roll.
Or as we start to outrun the zombies, something else bigger and darker starts to follow you.
Right. So we outrun the zombies. The zombies rolled a 6 on, I guess it would be intelligence. They failed, and so they sort of just start walking the desert.
They're tripping in the sand.
Right. And we're finally, after an hour of walking towards this large monument, we come up to our temple, and we see a lot of blood. Chris, you roll your perception check, but a passive perception will just show you that there's a lot of fresh blood, and there's a tent and a temple, and there's something moving in the distance, and it seems to be a large creature.
Yeah. So, and this is something that's happening in our current campaign right now. It's the players see an enemy, and they're going to want to jump it. And this is something I love. Let the players plan the shit out of this, because it's time that you get to hear their thought process, hear those cool strategies, throw an input to help encourage them to do the stupid, crazy thing that they really want to do, but are hesitant to do it because they think they're going to die, and they probably will. But give them the encouragement they need to do that.
Right.
And it's time that they're all talking, they're all engaged, trying to come up with this cool thing. And like what you guys are doing is every single player is doing something in this plan, in this prep.
Yeah, it was very funny. Take the immovable rod and put it on an arrow and shoot it into this guy. That was funny. Okay, so you see this. So your goal, remember, the goal is to get in. Now you see this, and all of a sudden, this large black-horned dragon comes out towards you. Now he knows you're there because he has whatever that's.
Because he's a dragon.
Because he's a dragon. Who goes there? Present yourself. Now the dragon has his own goals.
Right.
Doesn't always have to be a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Who goes there? Drake sort of looks over at Lone Star. I think you should take this one.
Well, okay. Lone Star is the worst character to have here because I want to play Lone Star the way I played him in our campaign. And in that moment, it's just me giving this guy as much crap as possible until he attacks us.
Right.
But if I was Rena, my first NPC on or my first player character in our campaign, we're here to explore the temple, Grand Dragon. We don't want any harm, any danger. We just wish to pass. Is there a toll that we must pay?
Well, there is a slight. There's a toll. You see, I'm feared, but I seem to be a friendly giant. I'm a very friendly giant dragon. And Chris, give me a. You know what? He's going to roll charisma, and the dragon's going to roll. He gets a 2. Plus his thing is probably a 6 or 7.
Okay.
Chris, against your charisma, or would it be against your intelligence?
Hooray. An 18. Say that.
Okay, so you see this dragon, and you know he's trying. That's so good that it's so different. It's so far away from the 6 that he rolled that you see that there's mounds of fresh flesh and body parts in front of this dragon. You see the dragon has dripping with blood, and you put 2 and 2 together and know this guy is lying to you. And but now that you know he's lying, what do you do? You know he says, yes, there is something. Of course, there's something you can offer me for a pass into the temple. Why don't you come closer and present any sort of magic item that you may or may not have? I'd like to know. Search your items for a specific trinket of mine. Now you rolled your charisma intelligence to know that he's lying.
Right. Well, here's a very normal situation where, say, if it was Lone Star who would have had that conversation, we had to see Drake. No, Drake is gonna just want to butcher this guy as soon as he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And say, Drake, you should get angry and go show this guy what your sword looks like.
And
as I try to persuade Drake to go rush in there on his own, I'll prepare to follow him up.
So at that point, I would say, as a dungeon master, you'd roll initiative, but you'd give the players a turn first. Because they're going to sort of, because you are going in and saying, okay, so you're sort of obliging him, but you're saying, Drake, you should crush this guy.
And something else that I love to do for situations like this is roll initiative early and let it play out and have that initiative as a framework if you need it. So, all right, roll initiative. All right, Drake walks up. And then Lone Star starts following up with him. And then when something actually happens, it's like, okay, do your attack. Let's go right into it. So there's not that big delay of like, oh, I want to punch him. All right, let's all take 10 minutes to get everything sorted and then come into it.
So Drake's going to rage. Drake's going to attack. Now, you remember your goal is to get inside that temple. You don't know what happens inside the temple, but that's ultimately the goal. Drake's going to rage. He's going to attack. 15. What is this guy's? This guy's armor class is 19, but I still think that hits. Plus 13. Yeah, that hits. And so Drake is going to hit this guy. for 22. He's going to hit him again because he's raging. That hits. So he hits him for a bunch. And he's going to use his other thing, which gives him a third attack. So he hits him for 63 points. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a barbarian.
And the dragon, unbeknownst to you, has just taken a lot of damage. Now this dragon also doesn't have to come into the battle at full health.
Right. Yeah.
So another thing about big bads is that what have they been doing? They're on a desert. They're hungry. Maybe they're thirsty too. Maybe they're exhausted.
Maybe someone else got there before you did, and they just finished resting from beating them up.
Dragon, Lone Star, you're up. What would you do?
Yeah, so Lone Star would rush in and say cast what's it have? Booming Blade. Go swing his fist coming through his gauntlet. Where's my attack? Let me show my attack. Damn, Booming Blade. Nope, wrong thing. Where is it? Hooray, D&D Beyond.
This is the perfect example.
Yeah, this is a perfect example
of when you're not prepared for the fight. And what can you do? Well, the dragon is just sitting there. You can also describe dragon is.
So I'm running through, and I have my gauntlet starts vibrating, and as I run through, I miss him with my 12, and I will just keep running by towards the temple.
So
he's distracted with Drake, so I whiffed on my attack, so I'm just gonna keep running.
So Dragon's gonna go. Dragon's gonna shoot a 5-foot wide acid breath at each creature in the line of sight, which is Drake. Drake must make a dex saving throw. Am I gonna kill Drake?
He has advantage.
He's got advantage. 22 and a 16, and the acid breath was a 18. So he takes half. So he's going to take, and you don't always have to roll your dice. If you want to, I like rolling dice, but you can always take your average to speed things up as well, just like with the zombie horde. And he's going to take 27 hit points. In which case he is now, it turns out that on D&D Beyond, Drake's current hit point was 27. 27 damage. Yeah, so but
Drake goes down.
But I think he actually has a feat where if he's 0.
Oh yeah, he comes back up to 1.
Yeah. So if he's raged, I think he comes back up to 1.
No, I think normally because he's orc or half orc or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. So Drake is fucked up, part of my French, and it's his turn, and he's going to double dash to the temple.
He sees Lone Star running by and says, "Fuck that."
Yeah. Now you could, as a DM, be like, okay, there's going to be an attack of opportunity. The attack of opportunity, he's going to hit Drake, but let's just say there isn't because now you've reached the temple, and it turns out it's Lone Star's turn. Do you go into the temple? Do you try to get up there? Do you help Drake get up there?
I'll run over and start pushing Drake inside the door of the temple, and then try and close and bar it so this dragon can't get us.
And then they realize that the temple is a sacred place and the dragon can't enter. And so it turns out that the dragon is some sort of safe keeper of the temple.
Guardian.
And you can hear him in the footprints outside and yada, yada, yada. So that was a very quick tutorial, I'd say, if you will, on fighting a large beast, but also encountering a large number of zombies, like a horde. And I think that, like, one, being prepared isn't always just knowing what your guy's going to do, because everything changes in the fight too. So you have to be able to be fluid with it. And that's the best type of combat, because it'll get very boring if Lone Star and I were at max health trying to chop this guy down. It might work because we're at high levels. I mean, my guy's at level 9. Your guy was at level 10 or whatever.
8.
8.
It was 8.
So even that, I just did 60 damage to this guy in one turn.
Yeah.
But again, dragon can do legendary actions and whatnot. So
yeah,
I think that the takeaway here with a big guy is you don't always have to kill the big guy. It's going to be awesome when you do, like when we killed that purple worm recently.
Yeah.
You might be rewarded, but the storyline and the engagement actually thrives on the urgency of the combat, and that can come from just surviving, accomplishing your goal, or indeed killing the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sent there to kill him. I don't know.
One last tip that just popped into my head for all these combats is before every turn in combat, it always feels like you're handing that DM position over just for a moment to the player for them to interact and do something crazy in the world. And before you do that handover, give a little lead in of describe what just happened around that player and saying, yeah, this guy's here, give them a feel and idea of what's happening around them, to allow them opportunity to engage with the scene, the environment, with the dragon, the horde, the zombie, or whatever's around, other players around. You see your fellow player fall down right near you, or drop in bits of lore or guide to the goal. Like you said, you see the temple up ahead and the door is slightly ajar. You can lead the players with information that you want right before you drop it into their turn.
Right.
And that can help draw them into a space where you might have had something planned but didn't quite get to it.
I wish I had known some of these things in prior sessions, because God bless you guys. You guys stayed true, and yes, a 2.5 hour campaign night turned into a 4-hour one. But you know what? It was great. It was great for me.
Oh, we had fun.
Yeah, a lot of math. I hate math. It's terrible.
But in the end, it's a game, and you're there to have fun with friends.
Right.
And if you're having fun and it's taken 4.5 hours and you're all okay with it, then so be it.
Yeah.
If it's taken long and you're all not having fun because it's slow and something is bad, something is just lagging on and on and on, then definitely try and find a way to make it more engaging, more interactive, maybe shorter, maybe the group that you're with doesn't like as much combat. It doesn't really flow too well to have as much combat. So maybe the campaign shifts a little.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we can try we did a puzzle one too before. Sometimes puzzles are talk slowing down. Well, holy hell.
There's never a wrong time for another session 0. To be like, hey, we just had that combat and it was horrible.
This is what
Let's sit down and talk about this.
Yeah, I'll go through the rules, the special suggestions, try them out. I mean, what the hell?
Yep.
So you don't have to stick to it each one, but
and the other nice little thing, one last little tidbit before we run off, is it's one thing that some friends have done is have what's called, or what I like to call it, a danger room, like what we're doing right here. Everyone get in, bring your whole group together and say, all right, I'm going to throw some monsters on the board. Let's just fight and get the mechanics down and play around with it, so we're not stressed in an active fight during the campaign of let's figure out what we're doing, so that everyone can talk. So it could be someone's turn of like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. And we can give suggestions in a way that's not taking over their character in combat, but engaging in a way to help them understand and become smoother with how they play.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with that, let's take one last look at this beautiful tabletop simulator. Look at that dragon. Huh?
Beautiful.
Well, listen, if you learned something, if you didn't, if you enjoyed, if you just liked what you were saying. Roll high, subscribe, new Instagram live, follow, enjoy. We'll be back next time.